When writing Java programs, one of the things you'll be doing quite often is creating variables that never change in value throughout the life of the program and also have some type of special meaning in your program. When you have a variable of that type, what you really want to do is create something called a constant, or in Java terms, a final variable. And by final, that just means that it's the final value that the variable can have. Most programming languages use the term constant, but Java picked final instead. So let's talk about how to create finals and why they're useful. When you want to create a final variable, you use the keyword final first, followed by the data type, the name of the variable, the assignment operator equal, and the value that you want to assign to that final. Because the final cannot be changed, you have to assign its value at the time you declare it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a final, or you can't change it and it would be a default value. And actually, without a value, the compiler will give you an error saying that you didn't declare that final variable correctly. It's long been a tradition in programming to create finals in all caps, so that the final pi would have been written capital P, capital I. That makes it stand out in a program where every other variable and other types of objects are in lowercase. That's not so much a style anymore, and I don't follow it in this course, so we're going to create our finals in lowercase just like any other identifier or object type that we create, except of course for a class, which has to start with a capital letter. Once you've declared a final, then you can use it just like any other variable. So we can compute the area of a circle using pi like so. And notice how I use parentheses to group radius times radius together, so that operation is performed before we multiply it by pi. And then we can compile that and run it to see what the result is, but I'm going to skip that step here because it's really not that important. What I'm trying to show you is how to use finals, not so much what we get when we use them. We'll look at those kinds of things later. So once I've declared pi, I will show you this though. Once I've declared pi, if I try to change its value, let's say, oh, we're going to sneak it up a little bit and we'll say it's 1.5, or let's say it's 142. If I try to compile and run this program, watch what we're going to get. So I named it final, so we're going to say javac final.java. Cannot assign a value to final variable pi. So there's the protection you have from the compiler when you create a final variable. Its value cannot be changed. And that's why we create finals, is so that their values stay the same. Only use final when you have a special value. Some people call them magic values, but a special value that you don't want to change. For example, pi is always going to be 3.14159 or whatever value you want to use for pi. There's no reason any time in the program for it to change. So that's the perfect candidate to be declared as a final. Radius, on the other hand, might change if we look at a different circle or if the size of the circle gets larger. The radius doesn't make sense as a final, nor does area, but pi is perfect for that. In a string example, you might have a string variable called greeting that always is hello. So that you might use it in concatenating a string with hello John or hello Mary or whoever you're going to send a greeting to. But if that value is never going to change and you don't want it to change, especially accidentally, then you want to put final before that, like so. Now greeting will always be hello and it cannot be changed. So finals are not necessary components of a program, but they can help make your program easier to read and easier to maintain, because once you've set the value for a final, then you know that it can't ever change. And that's about all there is to say about finals. We'll use them occasionally in programs, but mostly I just wanted you to be aware that when you see finals in Java code that you read, what the code is doing with those identifiers. They're setting them up to be a value that can never change. In the next lesson, we're going to look at some uses of the Java math library. There's several functions that are not built into Java, like square root and absolute value, and you find those in the math library, and we're going to take a look at that in the next lesson.